All right, looks like we're live a day late. I'm a little bit early for today, but obviously I'm a day late. I wish that I could tell you that I have a good reason for being gone yesterday. And in a way, I kind of do. Now, no emergency, nothing crazy like that. But one of the guys that I went to aviation school with was in town, and I happened to just, hey Steven, what's up? I'm sorry, I'm a day late, and probably a couple dollars short. It's supposed to be Wildcard Wednesday, but here we are on Thursday, and again, I had plans to have. There were two reasons why yesterday was not a great day for doing this live stream. And the first one was as I started, one of the guys that I went to school with, aviation school with, happened to be in town, and I hadn't seen him in about 5 years. We've been very fortunate to keep in touch. We've been out of school for 12 years now, right at 12 years. And hey, Rodney, what's up, man? Um, so we've been out of school for about 12 years. Our careers kind of we ended up in the same place at the very start, and then I left first and managed to make it to Louisiana, and then he followed about 6 months later. I was working on military aircraft when I got here, and he did civilian helicopters, and they kind of drug him all across the world. He's been spending, I'd say, the last 3 or 4 years down in South America. So we don't, when we get a chance to see each other and catch up, that's kind of what we do. So that's one of the reasons why last night, Wildcard Wednesday didn't happen. So that's one reason. The other reason was I thought that by holding off for a day, I could get a chance to have the Shadow System CR920 already here. It showed up yesterday. I thought I would be able to just run through and go pick it up from the local gun shop today, and then that would be a great reason for pushing Wildcard Wednesday back. Unfortunately, I got delayed, which doesn't happen. Normally, they'll have to research for a little bit, but I got delayed, and there it goes. So my plans for tonight kind of went out the window. So that being said, the CR920 is going to have to wait until the next live stream. Now, that's the other thing. I'm going to be missing the next live stream on Sunday, because I'm going to Alabama to go help my good friend Scott work on a truck. So the next video will probably, I'm going to end up pushing Wildcard Wednesday back to either Friday or next Friday, or we'll just end up doing a swimming with the pontoon the next Sunday. So I'm going to be, I'm going to be kind of lax here, but I mean, that's about it. So I'm going to be missing. I'm going to be missing some time. The CR920 will be part of the next video, so we can take a look at it. Like I said, I wanted to look closer at the trigger and kind of see what we can do with it. What tactical pontoon goodness, and to my knowledge, it really should just be. I should be able to drop in an excommunicado and be good to go. But I want to take a look at it. I want to look closer, just with all the things they've had, any of the issues that they've had. And like I said, it's kind of got a neat hybrid system, and I want to show you guys the differences of it versus factory. So tonight, we'll go through a couple different things. Like I said, it's Wildcard Wednesday. If you guys have anything you guys want to talk about, just leave it over here in chat. Let me know. Before we get started, as always, I'm going to talk about. I want to talk about a company, a good company, a small company that maybe you haven't heard of, so that you guys can go check them out. This is Fabricated Arms. Now, Fabricated Arms, I'm going to double check so I don't lie. Fabricated Arms, he doesn't show where he's from. He's up north. Let me let me pull up his profile here. Uh, I have worked with Chris at Fabricated Arms on several different projects. I've got one, Virginia. He's in Virginia. I thought he was up farther north. Um, Chris at Fabricated Arms. He does slide cuts, optic cuts, Cerakote. He's got a distressed copper that is just amazing looking on the slides he does. He does a lot of, I think he does more of your SIG slides than he does a Glock, but I have a Glock slide from him that is just amazing. MR2 scroll, yes. If you get a chance, get work done by Chris at Fabricated Arms. He does awesome work. He does what's called the predator cut, which has kind of a mouth at the where the barrel comes in at or comes out at. Really cool. When he first, I don't know that I was around when he first came up with those, but I got one of the earlier ones. So I have one, and this was actually gifted to me by one of the very first people that bought triggers from me, Ron. He knows I'm a 357 SIG freak, and he convinced Chris at Fabricated Arms, who hates doing knurled slides, but I happen to love knurls on my slides. So I have a Predator slide for a Glock 31 357 SIG with a Predator cut knurled with his aged bronze, and it is amazing. Now, you've probably, if you follow me on Instagram, you probably saw it. I posted a picture of it here recently. That build, which is going to be a Predator themed build, because why not, is it's been a long time in the making. I think I have had that slide for almost 4 years now. I have a frame from the man at Get a Grip Customs. It's awesome. It's at Quintero Customs for Cerakote and finishing up. So it's been a long time coming. It will be worth it. But again, let me go back because I got off on a tangent. Chris at Fabricated Arms. It is literally Fabricated Arms, one word.com. Check out his website. That is also what you'll find it at on Instagram. Let me verify that. I don't want to lie to you here. Fabricated_arms. Tell him I sent you. He's a good guy. We've worked on several projects. Like I said, I would definitely. Oh, getting your X macro done. You will be extremely happy with his work. Hey, Christina, it's good to see you. How's it going? Good to have you on here. Now, like I said, give him a shot. Give him a look. Take a look at his what he's got to offer. Like, he does a lot of SIG work. He does some Glock. His Glock stuff is really good, and he probably will not do knurls. I think Ron literally had to bribe him, or I don't know, but it's not something he likes to do. So I'm very fortunate to have that as one of the only. If you would, while you're here, because YouTube is kind of crazy and they like interactions and algorithms and that sort of thing. Hey, what's going on, Bayou Vibes? I just went and saw Doc today down at DTS, and then they delayed me. So it kind of not the gun shop themselves obviously didn't delay me, but the government did. The system was down. They had to call in my information instead of just going through the normal system, and the government delayed me. So the Shadow System CR920 that I had planned on at least going over tonight and checking out, being that I pushed the day, not going to be able to do that tonight because, like I said, I got delayed. So that's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. So Fabricated Arms, check them out. Awesome work. Now, what news for the week? One, this is kind of last week's stuff. Equalizer is gone. The EDC trigger system is gone because I am trying to hold Um, I'm not sure. I don't think so in Louisiana. I know some states, yes. Alabama is one of those ones that did. At least they used to. Oh no, Scott. Scott has entered the chat. Now, Scott, Destroy 453 there, he is going to be the reason that I miss Sunday and the next Wildcard Wednesday, because I'm going to help him screw up his truck. I mean, work on and fix his truck. But okay, like I said, if you're here, hit the like button, and that way it just gets the interactions up. I'm going to remind as we get different people in here, just hit the like button. It helps beat the algorithm and gets me up where I'm trying to go, because the Tactical Pontoon channel is something I am really trying to get going because I have more time to do so, and this gets more people aware that it actually exists, and that will actually help me do troubleshooting, because a very large part of what I do, being these custom triggers, is they're not exactly drop in. And sometimes people, even though I have it clearly listed on the website, they just think that it's a drop in, and they forget that, or they don't know that it takes a little bit extra to get them running, sometimes perfect, with different slide combinations. And really any drop in trigger can be like that as well. But them saying that there is a Tactical Pontoon YouTube channel, maybe they can get on one of these lives and get one of their questions answered. Because I also find that some people will not be happy and they won't tell anybody, which is unfortunate, because they won't email me, or they might wait until they're on social media and say, oh well, my stuff didn't work, and then they've never actually emailed me. Tonight, if you are following and you're part of the newsletter, you will have seen I sent out a survey. If you would, I know, Scott, you took the survey. I don't think anybody else on here has yet. A short little survey, and I actually found about 3 customers that had a troubleshooting issue, but they never got a hold of me. They never sent me an email or contacted me anywhere to get anything resolved. So it was kind of neat. I was able to get a hold of 2 of the 3 and get something in work so that I can get them fixed up. So this channel is also a way that I can do that. That way people have a different avenue to get a hold of me, other than just email or through the website or through social media. YouTube is just another way. So maybe here in chat, I'll get a chance to fix somebody's issue that they didn't let me know. Because honestly, I'm here to, I stand behind, I won't stand in front of all of my triggers. Anything that I build, I want to make sure that it runs 100%, and I do my best to help take care of everybody. Steven, some fine tuning. Yes, and think it's because a lot of people don't understand that it does take some fine tuning. You can have an amazing trigger, and if it's not fine tuned, it may run like garbage, and it's not the trigger's fault. It's kind of like going back to one of the things that I used to do, and do more so for myself and sometimes for Scott, would be tuning vehicles. Now, you've probably heard a lot of, if you're into cars at all, you've seen the memes about, blaming it on the tuner, and it's a similar deal. There are outside things that need to occur in order for your tune to be running right. So if your vehicle is not running right, and then you go get a tune and it's still not running right, it's not the tune's fault. Now, granted, tuning is another thing. Engine tuning is another thing that takes it takes some really serious things. Blame the tuner, and it's true. I'm very fortunate, because I like fast vehicles. I like powerful vehicles, and I always have. even if they were 4 cylinders. MR2 scroll, does that have to do with Toyota MR2 and scroll being turbo? Just out of curiosity, I've noticed it. Living, there we go. Toyota MR2s. That's awesome. That is awesome. That is a car that I've always really liked, was the MR2. I just always been an interesting car, especially the second generation. Obviously, they're not exactly easy to get a hold of at this point. I started out just like Scott there in the chat with Dodge Neons. I still have one in my shop. It is going through a wide body conversion, and I've got the engine tore apart, mostly back. It's mostly back together. I have to finish the head. That was an ordeal. To get work done on that. I have a ported head sitting, and I just have to get it finished, machined. It took a year to get a hold of this thing. Anyways, I'll go back. Sorry. I can talk about cars, and I do have a car channel here on YouTube that I will be reviving along with the gun channel. So let me stick to guns here tonight, and we will go back to the car channel another day, which is here on YouTube, Sendology 101. I'll probably put a link in the description or something, but we'll talk about cars another time, and I can talk about cars just like I can talk about guns, especially Glocks. Now, I talked about Unicorn Customs just the other day, and he followed the rules, and he bribed me with some stickers after I mentioned him. And I gotta say, I gotta up my sticker game, because my stickers are pretty plain. My shirts are pretty cool, but they're also kind of plain. Maybe I'll have to upgrade that too. But his stickers, they're awesome. Got holograms and guns, and it's just, he's got some cool stickers, and now I've got some sticker envy. Got sticker envy. You got some awesome stickers. Okay, I'm gonna have to get some awesome stickers. So with let me get back to it. With news, I dropped a new system. I've been consistently putting new stuff out there because I want to get more things available, so that I wouldn't call Tactical Pontoon a one-stop shop, because I do not plan on being the Glock Walmart. That's not for me, but I do want to offer more things, so that again, maybe you can save on shipping. Anyways, so more drop-ins. I have slides on the website from the Gun Co. Glock 19 Generation 3. They are some really nice slides. I plan on doing one of those for one of the builds that I have here in the shop. It's either going to be the SCT slide or SCT frame, or something else that's about to release, and I'm on an early be one of the first people to have them. So that's really cool. I'm not going to talk too much about it right now. I can't talk about it, but it is coming. 2 different frames that are just, they're nice. They're really nice. I can't go any farther. I can't. So let me get back to the system that dropped. This guy right here is the Train with Purpose. Can you see the little ghosty there? Let me get my fat head out of the way. This is orange. This is a color I've not had available on the website yet. Orange with a green safety tab. It matches my shirt. Train with Purpose trigger shoe. They have a very wide, flat face. It does have traction on the front. You've probably seen a picture of this on Instagram, or you can go to the website. You can see some really close-up shots. I've got some really good colors on this guy. There is orange with green safety tab, orange with black safety tab, then black safety tab, or black trigger with a black safety tab, black with a green safety tab, or black with a pink safety tab. Now that's another one. That's another one that's out there, is the black with pink. I didn't have pink available. Now I've got pink. These are drop-ins. Um, as things go on, let's take a look. Let's take another look. It's a pretty beefy shoe. It really is a pretty beefy shoe. I like them. They're a little bit, like I said, they're a little bit big. They're a little bit wide. They feel a lot wider than even like a Boogeyman, but they're not really that much wide. It's weird. It's just on your finger. It just feels a lot wider. That's what she said. Anyways, that is on the website, on the drop-ins, the TWP Daily 4.5. It is right now. I've got it listed for just an EDC style trigger. Eventually I'll also drop a 3.5 version of that, but right now it's more, I've got it geared towards an EDC drop in. So if you're looking for a good EDC, the TWP is the way. So either TWP or the Peacemaker 4.5, both of them awesome for EDC. Pins or screws in the trigger shoe. It has a roll pin in the safety, which roll pins, I hate working with roll pins, but they do work really well for retention. And then it has a screw for the trigger shoe. It's for the trigger pivot. So excellent. I don't see anything moving around. I don't see any pins walking. And if you put a little bit, if you're worried about the screw coming out, you can always put a little bit of Loctite on there. Now, this is a good segue for something interesting that you could, if you've ever dealt with a trigger that has a screw in it that somebody's Loctited. If you want to get that out, what you don't use a torch, don't throw it in the oven. Use a soldering iron. Let that soldering iron heat up to temperature, and then place it on the screw and let it heat up your thread locker for a minute or two. Basically, you're gonna feel the trigger shoe start to get warm, and that's about the time that you're ready. Put that soldering iron somewhere safe. Do not burn yourself, and then you can get that screw out. That is the easy way to get a thread locked screw out of a trigger, or just about anything that maybe you don't want to use a torch on or throw it in the oven. Use a soldering iron. That's something I learned when I first started working with Steel City Arsenal, and he was very adamant about putting Loctite on all of his screws so that people wouldn't screw with them. I understand that. I get that. So, but of course, I had to modify my triggers, and I was always stripping out the screws. I was trying to find good ways to do it, and then it hit me, a soldering iron. So yeah, don't use a torch. Don't use an oven. Use a soldering iron. It works really, really well, and it's gonna melt that thread locker up to temperature, and it's just gonna come right out. It saved me so much time and frustration. It got to the point where I did everything I could not to mess with those. So there it is. That's one of those neat little tips. Maybe I'll cut that guy out and put it as a regular video on the channel, because that tip is a lifesaver. Now, where else are we gonna go tonight? Okay, Smith & Wesson. What do you guys think about Smith & Wesson? Scott, I already know. Okay, I know you're big 55-year-old Smith & Wesson Nissan Toyota driving man. I get that. We've talked about that, and we will fight about it when I get there to Alabama. Okay, I will give you hell. Smith & Wesson. What do you guys think? For me, Smith & Wesson is one of those brands that they exist. They're normally they put out some good, solid stuff. Really not anything too interesting in the last couple decades. Well, they just released the Equalizer? Yes, the Equalizer. as their new carry weapon, EDC. Looking at it, it's kind of funky looking. It reminds me of yes, Rodney. Meh, that's my whole Smith and Wesson. Meh. I get a lot of requests for M&P work, and it's just not my thing. It's kind of interesting. Yes, grip safety. That is the first thing I noticed was the grip safety. I guess they're trying to go along with their easy line, which is great for grandmas and moms and that sort of thing. It's supposed to be easy to rack. It's got an internal hammer, which I think the last one of those I saw was the Walther, the Walther PP. What was that ugly looking Walther? Right before they came out with PPQ. Grip safety, internal hammer, internal hammer fired, which is kind of interesting. I'll be interested to at least take a look at one. Single stack, so kind of nothing. You got to get a Glock, Christina. You need to get a Glock. You got your Springfields. I'm not going to talk too much about the Springfields, which they just brought out. Obviously, they brought out their double stacked 1911s, and there's a new XD on the market. So get in the M&P. I like the new ones. Yeah, they're reliable. Smith and Wesson is one thing about the Smith and Wessons is when you buy one of those, you're going to get and MR2 scroll. This isn't you build MR2s. Maybe you drive a Camry. That's cool. I'm good with that. But I kind of feel like the Smith and Wessons are kind of like the Toyotas. They're safe, especially newer Toyotas. They're safe. They're going to get the job done. You're not going to get anybody really looking at your Toyota or your Smith and Wesson unless it's maybe one of the revolvers. And the revolver, I would consider that, some of their really nice revolvers are probably closer to those MR2s or Supras, older Supras. I don't know about the kind of fishy looking new Supra. It's not a bad looking vehicle. Again, talking about cars, we're back to guns. Apologize. Smith and Wesson makes a good gun. They kind of in the background is the way I see Smith and Wesson. They're not dead and gone like Colt. They've managed to keep updating, but Chris, I've seen MR2 Scrolls cars. You look to yes, like I said, I did preface that with MR2 is definitely a Toyota that I would own. I would own one of those. Scott's old Camry, looking at you, Scott, and probably your next Toyota, because that's what you're going to get. I'm not going to look twice at a Camry. I'm definitely not going to look twice at a Camry unless it's coming at me or it's got the fender bashed in. Anyways, cars. Knock that. Smith and Wesson, they make good, reliable guns. Not something that you're really going to, I guess, customize too much. They're a good gun, but it never really ignited a passion in me. M&P, the older ones, the 2.0. I know the 2.0 has a really nice trigger right out of the box. It's really reliable. I'm sure if I shot one, I would be, I'd be a fan. But it just never did anything for me. And even though I get not so much, not near as much nowadays as I used to, is a request for a trigger system for the M&Ps. Apex seems to do a really good job with those, and I'm kind of let them do that at this point. Maybe in the future, but I've said maybe in the future for about 4 or 5 years now. We'll see. But with the equalizer, it doesn't look to be something that a lot of people, at least in the lanes that I run, are really going to be interested in. It looks like it's got some innovative features. It looks like probably another good grandma gun. with a few extra features, but not really my thing. And then, like I said, XD or Springfield released something new with their XD. It looks kind of like they're trying to go after the big long competition style canics. So I didn't get a chance to really look at those. Like I said, Wildcard Wednesday. Wildcard Wednesday, it changed. I had plans for what I was going to talk about, and then it all went out the window. So I must apologize for just kind of going with the flow, kind of seeing what's up. Which, speaking of what's up, here's the SCT frame again with that beautiful Peacemaker Leonidas right there at the wall. Nice crisp break. Very short reset. At the wall again. I'm telling you, if you haven't experienced the Leonidas, you are missing out. Now, again, they're not cheap. The Leonidas system is not cheap, and if I could drop the price down and build them as quickly as a drop in, I would be all about it, because you really need to experience that. But in order to make it all safe and build it correctly, it does take some time, which time is money, but it's worth it. It is worth it. If you can do it, Leonidas is the way to go. It's beautiful. Okay, trigger. Love a trigger for first gen XD 45. I know they're a pain in the butt to get inside of on those Springfields. I've stayed away from them, to be honest. I've shot a couple. They're a decent shooting gun. Christina, don't hate me. Don't hate me. I know you're a Springfield XD fan, but when you shoot a Glock, we'll get you on the right path. Must have that, Chris. You should. They're on the website. It does take a little bit of time. This one here is ready to go. So if somebody wanted it, just get a hold of me. I could perhaps let this Leonidas go and build myself another one for when the frame gets done. Just a thought. What connector is in it? The Ghost Edge? No. Normally, I run one of my tuned dot connectors, or I will run one of my 3.5s. Depends on the generation. When it comes to connectors, and I would like to do a video. Yes, you do, Rodney. You need one of your OZ9. I'm telling you, if you're going to have an OZ9, you might as well have a Leonidas, because that is just a game changer there. Connectors, I do want to do a video, one of these live streams on connectors, because I've got a video here on the channel. It's about 3 or 4 years old at this point, where I went through a bunch of different connectors, and I've got a write-up on the website, but I do need to kind of update that. But I don't find a connector to be as important as just how you work on the trigger bar and the tuning. The tuning really plays a very important part of that. The dot connector is freaking awesome. And I know the Icarus Precision, I just learned about that one today for the OZ9. Now, Icarus, I'm sure it's going to be aluminum, kind of like Icarus does for the 365, and I think they do it for the P320 as well. So that could be really neat, because if there's one thing about the OZ9 that I would have to complain about, would be the chassis, not the chassis system, but the grip. The grip is just ugly as all get out. Yes, my favorite overall connector would be the dot connector. I use the Edge 3.5 in my drop-ins for a lighter trigger that still has a good break, has good break qualities, but you're gonna get that lower weight easier, and then an excellent reset. The Ghost Edge, the Ghost Evo, the Ghost 3.3, and then they did the Angel. all 3 or all 4 of those connectors are really the most advanced connectors out there. Depending on what you're looking for, brake characteristic wise, they may not be exactly perfect. Also, if you've just joined here recently, if you would hit the like button, because I'm trying to beat the algorithm. So if you're here and you're watching, hit the like button. It's just going to help me out. It's going to help out the channel. So I'm going to bother people as we go. So yes, the minus connector is not really one of my favorites. And here's the reason why. And the reason why I don't really use minus connectors in the triggers that I build to send out to people. Because if you do not tune a minus connector, you will get really bad. You'll get either really bad results, as in it's going to drag and be really mushy before the break, or it's going to possibly, especially aftermarket minus connectors, they're going to run into reset issues and get binary triggers and save $500 compared to a binary trigger. Anyways, so minus connectors, depending, and pretty much all of them on the market, whether it's your Ghost 3.5, there's varying degrees of difference, but overall the actual angle or geometry of a lot of your minus connectors all are about the same. There are differences in the material, the length of them, and then the length of the ledge that the trigger bar rides on, which can make a difference. The OEM minus, I remember when I was building a trigger system for a company that shall not be named at this point, maybe later. When I was building a trigger system for them, I had thought about doing the factory minus. And so I being earlier on in the game, I tried getting hold of a lot of those factory minus connectors because I thought that would be the way to go. For a long time, agency. That's when you bought an agency trigger, you got a factory negative or minus connector. They changed that. And trust me, I went around the horn with a couple different people that swore up and down that all of agency triggers use factory minus connectors. And it's not like that. It hasn't been for about 4 years or so, maybe longer. But they had some older ones that came with the factory minus connector. Anyways, rambling about, do they not? I don't go to their website very often. You used to be able to buy full drop-in trigger sets from them, and they used to include a negative connector. What originally it was factory, it was a factory negative. So I guess nowadays, I guess they're not even throwing in connectors. There for a while, they were using Lone Wolf. They were using the Lone Wolf. I think they call it the Lone Wolf Classic 3.5 pound connector, which basically mimics a factory negative connector, but being that it's actually just a hair longer, it changes the reset for the better. Normally, if it's tuned right and things work out, it works really well. But if you do not go in there and adjust things, you can run into some problems, as with any Lone Wolf connector. And for somebody who does not get into tuning of the triggers, I stay away. I tell people stay away from Lone Wolf. You can get good results with them, but you have to know what you're doing. Just dropping a Lone Wolf anything into anything normally causes trouble. Back when the P80 first real wave hit, you could buy a Lone Wolf parts kit for $30 or $40 less than you could the OEM stuff, which was about the only option back then. Obviously nowadays things have changed and you've got some good aftermarket kits, but Lone Wolf was pretty much the only other option. And pretty much anybody who bought a Lone Wolf kit was guaranteed to have problems. The connectors would give them issue. The trigger block housings paired with that connector would give them issues. And then their trigger bar would give people issues in P80s. It was just terrible. Lone Wolf 3.5 in my competition guns. Yes, exactly. Just like I said, they're 3.5 with the little skinny, scrawny looking one. If you want something really light and you can tune it, it's a good connector. That's why Johnny Glock uses them. Anyways, back to where I was at with the Lone Wolf. Pardon me, Lone Wolf parts kits, I would run into a lot of trouble, and especially early on when that was the only thing that was available, I would get people that would get a hold of me because I'm a trigger guy and ask questions, and it normally turned out that it was their Lone Wolf parts kit. I sent out a lot of factory parts to help people get through those issues because the Lone Wolf stuff was just garbage. I think some of it's gotten better, but I haven't really followed any of their new stuff. I just pretty much don't buy the Lone Wolf stuff. So I haven't played with it. I know, yeah, I won't go into that. Get back to where are we at? I got off on a tangent. I apologize. I got off on a tangent. P80 agency. Yes, agency was using Lone Wolf stuff, and obviously nowadays, or I guess nowadays, they're not sending out connectors, which is probably for the best. The thing with agency triggers, they run the line, especially the older ones. I haven't played with too many of the newer ones. I gotta say, as time goes on, I see less and less people build with the agency triggers. I know they're a good trigger. I like the agency triggers. They have a lot of the travel taken up, and you got to be careful. And having experienced being bitten by something like that, and having Jonathan at Tactical Toolbox, one of his videos, I believe it's still up, on trigger safeties, actually shows in certain frames the agency was having trouble maintaining safety because they had removed all of the travel. Like I said, I don't see a lot of the agency triggers as often as I used to. I used to build quite a few agency triggers for people, and I like them. I like their triggers. I think at this point I don't have any in the shop anymore. I used to keep one or two. Steven, Ranger proof triggers. What am I gonna say tonight about Ranger proof? That's a story for another time. But for the most part, I don't use Ranger proof triggers. I don't recommend Ranger proof triggers. They've got some neat designs nowadays. They've improved, probably because they're now who builds Johnny Glock's triggers. But I have a little bit of a history with Ranger proof, and maybe I'll get into that another time. There's things about that. So I'm probably that's good for now. Ranger proof. They make triggers. I don't use them. So yeah. Other triggers that I like. Well, while we're on the subject of triggers, because that's kind of one of my things. Another trigger that I saw. Let me pull. It's kind of a neat looking trigger. I haven't played with one yet. That is, oh, come on, Instagram, where you at? Well, I can't seem to find them in here. It's not a company that I recognize. They make a trigger. Looks kind of neat. I'm gonna get one in the shop to play with. As I kind of said in one of the other videos, the trigger itself is just a part of the system, and with the right characteristics, it makes it easier to build a trigger system around them, but just about anything can really be built well. CMC is one that I don't recommend. I don't know if I said this before. CMC is just the way they built it. It looks really neat, but you pretty much you're going to get, if you have one of those, you most likely you're going to get stopped at the border and patted down before the trigger actually breaks, because as it is out of the box, that thing takes forever to break. Just how long it is, it just is an unfortunate trigger. And then the other way that it's built, it's really, really delicate. I have broke several of those when they first came out. I had to replace some for customers because it just is a very, very unfortunately weakly designed trigger shoe. It's neat looking. If you wanted to make your Glock look like an AR, you wanted them to look the same, you bought a CMC, and it just was unfortunate. It, like I said, it looks interesting, but I would recommend staying away from it. There was another trigger that looked really similar to that, and that was the stiletto trigger by forgetting the name offhand of the company. Threw me off with the range of proof crap. We're going to talk about that one of these days. Stiletto. Who makes the stiletto? Made the stiletto. That trigger was very similar to the CMC. It was really long and flat. And if somebody wanted a trigger like that, I would recommend the stiletto. But unfortunately, they stopped producing it. They pretty much went all in on SIG stuff. SIG 365. They make a man. Who was it? My brain is just not there. Threw me off. Empire. Hey, what's up, Angry Sarge? Good. I'm glad you made it. I had different plans for tonight. Originally we were going to be looking at the CR 920, but the government decided that I needed to be put on a hold, on a delay. So we are going to be delayed again on this live stream for that till next week. So I apologize that, but good. I'm glad you came in. Really, I was been looking at some of your builds. I saw you've got that Nomad one posted here recently with the you're switching out the different lights, and then you had the SCT frame. That magwell that you had on the SCT frame. What did they market that for? I know the ones that I have on my SCT frame is one for a Glock 17, and like I said, it fits pretty well. There's a little bit of an air gap, and it kind of looks like yours had a bit of an air gap as well. Steven, it's a polymer. Oh, okay, Polymer 80, and they used to. Okay, Steel City used to build some for them, but not any longer, as I recall. Yeah, no air gap. Okay. Well, I'll have to look, because I don't mind the one that I've got, but I wouldn't mind one that fits better. Arcane Tactical. I'm going to look them up. I will look them up. I think I already followed them, but I want to look it up, and I'll probably look at getting one ordered in for this SCT frame before it goes to Unicorn Customs, because I want it to look good. Obviously, I want it to look good. Unicorn Customs, they do some awesome work. I'm really looking forward to what they get done with it. But I want the whole package to not look too thrown together, and the air gap in the magwell just does kind of bother me. It doesn't look bad, but at the same time, these normally are display guns and stuff that I take to different gun shows or different ranges that I go and show off my stuff. Steven sells their polymer triggers separately. Yes. I don't know if Matt's on here. Matt Benoit, he is big on the PSA Dagger site, and I've kind of taken him under my meaty wing and given him some inspiration trigger wise, and he really likes the Shadow System triggers. He kind of swears by them at this point. I've played with some of their triggers in the past. Normally, I've just replaced the whole deal because normally people want to upgrade to the Excommunicado trigger shoe and get away from their. They had a run of trigger bars that was failing on them after so many rounds. I think I don't. I believe they've gotten that one, that issue taken care of at this point. But I know some of the original Shadow Systems trigger bars were failing relatively easily. But like I said, the Shadow Systems polymer trigger, it's not a bad trigger. But the trigger shoe itself, it's not bad. Not really my cup of tea, but like I said, Matt really likes them. The old Gen 1, I know they had the MR918, I think was the original models. So yeah, they're aluminum shoes. Yeah, the Foundation series. Like I said, they already make a really good deal for people. The Foundation series brings that price level even closer. I may actually pick up one of the Foundation series at that price level, and actually have a Shadow Systems here full time. So we'll see. Like I said, they make the Shadow Systems is a really nice gun for that price point, and having kind of a aftermarket built gun. So we'll see. Aluminum shoe. What other trigger shoes do I dislike or like? Apex. I know we talked about Apex before, but the original Apex, when I started out, um, when I started out doing my triggers, and having went through so many different triggers originally, I wanted an Apex, but I didn't want to spend Apex money at the time. Um, there's a company you've probably heard about them, is Suarez. Suarez, and I don't really recommend really much of their stuff. They have some quality control issues. They make stuff that's kind of on the lower end price wise. But they had at the time, they had an Apex clone, and they called it their semi-flat or semi-curved trigger. And it basically was an Apex clone. And I bought several of those to save myself some money at the time. And then canceled. Did they cancel that? Did they cancel? I know they were coming out with one. I didn't realize it was canceled. I didn't pay a lot of attention to Apex in the last couple of years. I was just saying, I built a lot of Apex triggers, and Apex was my original brand that I used. I think it was the way that the Apex sat forward compared to some of the others on the market, which kind of gave a little bit of a placebo that your trigger was breaking sooner. That's probably that's one of the reasons. But Suarez built, they've had a lot of recalls here lately. I'm sorry. I keep jumping back and forth. Steven, yeah, they've had a lot of recalls between their Glock 43 trigger bars, and then there was something else. There was something else that got recalled here. I don't know. Apex, my dealings with them directly have not exactly been the greatest, but I understand why. They don't like anybody who messes with their stuff. I know what was it, Southwest? No. They had one company, and one company only, that they allowed to do Cerakote work on their triggers. And the few interactions that I had directly with them, they didn't want to send me anything because they knew I modified their triggers. And like I said, I understand why. They don't want to have the responsibility, or they don't want to have that on their name, because their whole goal is to basically build something that's drop in and good to go and maintains all of everything, all the safeties 100%, and this and that. And the original ones had a metal safety tab that was just a thin piece of aluminum, like 60 thousandths, 70 thousandths aluminum safety tab, which was easy to work with when it came to doing any sort of modifications. And I've messed some up over time, and I've still got some sitting. Then here recently, within the last couple of years, they did the plastic safety tab on the Apex. A lot of people, it was thicker. A lot of people didn't like that. Honestly, from a longevity standpoint, I feel like the plastic safety tab was a better idea, especially for the customer base that they were going for. I know that some people had issues getting crap up inside of the safety tab and with that thinner aluminum one, or it was corroding and they would run into issues there, or even losing the spring because it's not kind of more of a captured deal than some of the others. But I don't build, I even took them off the website. I used to have a dedicated system for the Apex, but just in time as the market has kind of shifted away from, there's more options on the market, and the Apex was really popular and it was one of the better ones at the time. Now their full kit I'm not a fan of because they basically use a Ghost 3.5 as their connector, just rebranded with Apex on it. You're still, it's not a good deal, but just their shoe alone, it's not bad. I'm gonna have to look. I didn't realize they had canceled it. Was it an all polymer? I forget what it was. I don't know, but I can understand with materials being somewhat harder to get a hold of. Does Ghost? Yes, Ghost makes their connectors. Ghost makes pretty much all of your 3.5 connectors, or it's Lone Wolf. You're gonna find and I've got a tray of connectors from just about everywhere, and some that you've never seen and will never see, from different places and different designs. But 90% of them, 99%, somewhere around there, is just either Ghost or Lone Wolf. And they're pretty easy to tell the difference. And when you look at them side by side, you can look at the machining, the way you call it, the machine marks, the tooling marks from where they take it off of the sheet. It's either Ghost or it's Lone Wolf. Lone Wolf has a thinner design and a thinner, well, their material that they use is a thinner material versus the Ghost. And like I said, you're gonna see the tooling marks and the difference between the two and the difference in material. But 99% of them are either made by Ghost or they're made by Lone Wolf, and they're pretty easy to tell. There are a couple that are made by Glock Store or whoever makes Glock Store, and I haven't dug too far into that. And you can always tell the Glock Store one looks like it's like all factory seconds from Lone Wolf. Lone Wolf or Glock Store, their Black Ice connector, or Black Yikes now, since they ran into the trademark issue. I remember when that came through. And then their Double Diamond connector, literally, they're actually tuned right. They're probably some of the better feeling connectors, but the quality control, it's like rats nibbled them out of the metal. And they're jagged and just like I said, they look like they're designed very similar to Lone Wolf Classic, but they look like factory seconds. It's really weird. I don't know, and it's Glock Store, so I'm sure Lenny pays somebody like 2 cents an hour to make all of his products, and I'll get on a Glock Store rant. But connector wise, Ghost makes almost all of them out there. Like I said, Apex, they did CMCs, or at least they used to. They do what's the other one that Lantac dropped a trigger a while back, years back. I don't even know if they're still on the market. That was another, I've got a video on that. That was an unfortunate one. If a company makes an AR trigger and then they make a Glock trigger, I would stay away from it because they're just they don't know what they're doing and they're just trying to make some extra money. Timney's a little bit different story. I've ranted on Timney already, so we'll save that for another day, or save more of that for another day. But yeah, most of them are made by Ghost. Like I said, I need to update my connector video. McNally Glock triggers. I've not actually had one in hand. I've seen pictures of them through the websites. They had, and I'm reaching back into memory because it's not something you see a lot of, but they had some funkiness. I think they did their own trigger shoe for a while, or a modified trigger that looked really cheap. If it's who I'm thinking of, McNally is definitely one that I would probably stay away from. I'm going to try to do a real quick search. If the internet is not great here, it is not great here in the sticks, and then my Wi-Fi being in the shop versus inside, it reaches, but it's not the greatest. So McNally Glock trigger. Let me, so I don't lie to you. Come on. And they may have changed since then. I gotta say, there are a certain amount of triggers that I see on a normal basis because they're just triggers that people buy more often than anything else. And then I get kind of so busy that I don't get a chance to explore some of these newer triggers as often as I used to when I was just buying triggers on a normal basis. So boy, their website kind of sucks. Yeah, I'll have to look at it another time. I do need to start buying some of the weird triggers and getting those in the shop. I get so busy with the excommunicados that I build and the Leonidas, and they're already such a great trigger that sometimes I forget to reach out and grab some of the other stuff on the market. So that is something that I'd like to explore more here on the lives and on the videos as I build the channel. And I'll be getting in more weird triggers and some funky ones that maybe you guys haven't seen yet, or some that I've got stuck in the old graveyard, some stuff that no longer is available. So I have rambled for long enough. And I do apologize for not having the video up that I wanted to have up. Things happen. We pushed Wildcard Wednesday to Thursday. I appreciate everybody for coming and listening, asking questions. I always have fun when we have the chats, and I get a chance to interact with you guys. And maybe we've talked on Instagram or Messenger and that sort of thing. It's always fun. I really do enjoy this because it's fun. I get to reminisce about things that I've seen in the industry, things that are coming out, and there are some good stuff. There's some good stuff coming out, and you guys have inspired me to again start looking at some of the weird stuff that's out there, because again, I kind of see the same thing time and time again, and so some of my information is old. I'm gonna have to change that. Scott, no nachos tonight. But when I'm there at your house, we're gonna have to have some nachos. No Cheetos. Gonna have to have some nachos. That would actually be really good. So that is pretty much it for tonight. Before I go, one, if you haven't already, please hit the like button. Let's beat that algorithm up. If you're not already following, if you would follow along, leave a comment. Go check out the website, TacticalPontoon.com. If you're looking for a Glock trigger, or you know somebody who has a Glock, send them my way. I will build them something worthy, and I will stand behind it 100%. I'm a one-man operation. If you want custom work, that's where you come. But before I go, one more time, Fabricated Arms. Yes, happy early Veterans Day. I'm not a veteran, but to all of you who have served, thank you. Without your service, we wouldn't be what we are. Fabricated Arms, fabricatedarms.com. If you have a slide that you want milled, if you want some custom work, optics cut, if you want Cerakote, or he's got some really, really cool finishes, and I will get my Glock 31 Predator build done, and it's beautiful, one of one. From Chris at Fabricated Arms. He does amazing work. I cannot recommend him enough. Check him out. On Instagram, it's fabricated_arms. Check him out. Let him know I sent you. And maybe I can get another sticker or maybe a t-shirt for the wall. That would be great. Because gotta love my Tactical Pontoon t-shirts. This one is an olive green. It's really cool. If you want one, we can make that happen. But I want to wear other people's t-shirts. Maybe not their used t-shirts, but new t-shirts. But anyways, as it is, thank you guys. We will catch you next time on Tactical Pontoon. Like I said, I will be gone for a week, and because of Scott, but we will resume. I'm not going to give up on these live streams. They are fun. We'll do more. So I will catch you next time. Thank you guys.